Now I like to hand over the session to Dr. Rajendra Machavaram sir.
Yeah. Thank you, the organizers, for introducing me to the session. I am very happy to participate in this webinar for giving a lecture on artificial intelligence, application of artificial neural networks in precision agriculture. I am just sharing my slides. Thank you for inviting me for this talk. If you see the beginning about agriculture scenario in India, I just kept it over here. The agriculture is the primary source of livelihood for 54.6% of India's population, and it contributes 17.1% to the country's gross value added. And that is measured in the year 2018 to 19 and reported in 2019 and 20 reports of Indian agriculture scenario, and it was 18.6% in the year 2013 and 14. If you see the production scenario of 2016 and 17, 328.7 million hectares, it is the geographical area of our country. Under that, 198.4 million hectares is the gross cropped area. The net irrigated area is 68.4 million hectares. The food grain production is 134.67 million tons, and rice production is 110.15 million tons. It was the year 2016 and 17. And rice production is 110.15 million tons. If we observe what is the productivity, it is the average productivity is 2550 kg per hectare. The average land holding size of our country is 1.15 hectares, and farm power availability is 1.841 kilowatt per hectare. The daily wages of male and female operators are 281 per day for male and 218 per day for female. Power unit sales, if you observe this one in 2015 to 16 data, it is 5,71,249 tractors. Anyway, it is now 77 lakhs. It is coming, and this is the tractors. And power tillers is coming around 48,882 power tillers. Our target, that is doubling the income of the farmers, that as our Prime Minister has mentioned, the Honorable Prime Minister. And if you observe that, it is actually coming as rupees 96,703 is the average income of a farmer or household, that we need to double to 2,19,724 by 2022 to 23. It is the target of all our agricultural engineers. Now, in the next slide, I have just kept precision agriculture. As by my topic is application of artificial neural networks in precision agriculture, I want to indicate what is precision agriculture first of all. If you observe, the precision is the degree of agreement among a series of measurements of the same quantity. It is a measure of the reproducibility of results. Means it is the degree of repeatability. If you observe here, the accuracy, it is high precision. Means our target is here, and all the points are placed over here. This is high accuracy and high precision. But this one is the low accuracy. Our target is over here, but we are getting all the points are placed at this particular location, but it is very high precise. And this one is, it is nearer to the target, but the points are not precise. If you observe this location, it is low accuracy and low precision. Precision means it is the degree of repeatability or degree of agreement among the series of measurements. Now, if you observe the precision agriculture, it comprises of a set of technologies that combines sensors, information systems, enhanced machinery, and information management and informed management to optimize production by according to the variability and uncertainties in the agricultural systems. That means the variability and uncertainties are more in the agricultural systems. Because of that, there is a demand of use of inputs in the crop or the field. That is why if we go with the precision agriculture, thereby we can give the equal amount of air, water, and food, that is fertilizer, to the plants. Thereby they can grow, and our achievement is that we can get a good productivity. Here I have kept some of the operations of precision agriculture. See here, we are making like after tillage, we are making the leveling and the bund farming. If this operation is the bund farming, they are very accurate that the straight way we can able to make the bunds. And the second thing, if you observe, there is a conventional way of planting the seeds. See, we cannot able to maintain the seed to seed spacing over here. Even though our mechanism is kept to maintain the seed to seed spacing, but we are not achieving that. That is why we are modifying the mechanisms or operations. Thereby, we can able to achieve the precision in the plant to plant spacing that you can see in the above diagram. And after planting, there are even we can monitor our plants like health monitoring. Means we can detect the different plants and we can observe their health, whether they are good in health or infected with certain disease. We can able to use the image processing technology and we can able to do that. And anyway, the harvesting also kept the precisely we can plant it the plants. Means even the harvesting also should be precise. Means we can use the GPS navigation system and thereby we can able to allow our tractor to move on a straight path, and with that we can precisely harvest the crop. See, in the precision agriculture or information based management of agriculture production systems, it was coined in 1980s, the mid 1980s. The term has come as information based management of agricultural production. Then later on it has come to be a precision agriculture. Initially, the precision agriculture was used to adopt fertilizer distribution to varying soil conditions across an agricultural field. Initially, see, whenever we are giving the fertilizer, that should be precise. Otherwise, main aim is that to reduce the amount of fertilizer. If we go with the equal amount of fertilizer, some particular area on the field requires very less fertilizer, and some other area it may require more. Means there is a variability. The variability is condition is coming is that the soil is not uniform. There is a non-uniformity in the soil, and not only that one, we can take the different locations, the samples of the soil, and from that we can measure what is the fertilizer, and based on that we can able to map the fertilizer level of the soil, and accordingly we can apply the fertilizer. Here I have given the different operations of precision agriculture here. Once we get the map, the prescription map, and based on that we are transferring that map to the data transfer either through the cloud, and that will be detected by our tractor using our GNSS global navigation satellite system. Through that we can able to detect and we can apply the fertilizer by sensing the soil, and even we can apply the tillage and seeding operations here and fertilizer operation here using the same technology. Even we can do the weeding you can do by attaching any herbicide applicator or intra and inter row applicators also we can able to connect to that. Not only the tillage operations, sowing, fertilizer application and weeding or pesticide applications, even we can map the amount of the productivity. Means that is called as yield mapping. Once we can map the yield, again we can take that data and we can transfer to our processing system or our data storage, and from there we can able to compare. Means how much of fertilizer I have applied, or what is the seed uniformity, or what is the plant uniformity or distribution over there or population. Accordingly, how much yield I could able to get. That means it is giving as a feedback, and with that feedback, again I can able to map the map our soil profile or the nutrient profile, or it may be the fertilizer level, and accordingly we can able to change or we can vary the amount of fertilizer, sowing, and all the other things. It is like a cycle. Means we can get the feedback from the yield mapping. Here. Now I am going a little more technical of what is artificial neural network. The artificial neural networks are computational models developed based on how the human brain manages and processes the information. Why these ANNs are more popular nowadays is that we have the statistical methods like the regression methods we have, and we have the classification, the other statistical tools are available. But compared to the other statistical tools, the classical statistical tools, the artificial neural network has become prominent. Reason is that it can be used for both pattern recognition and classification. Means we can classify whether the crop is infected or not infected. Such type of problems we can take for classification and data interpolation. As we have seen earlier, suppose the yield mapping. For the yield mapping, we have collected the different locations, what is the yield, and based on that we can map the entire area, what is the total yield of the particular field. There also we can use our data interpolation. Then function approximation. The function approximation, suppose there is some parameters like what is the fuel consumption. Fuel consumption is a one function. We can approximate. Means at different locations we can measure the fuel consumption, and with that we can able to make one function. Yeah. Robustness to the any problem? Now, the main advantage of this neural network is that they are very robust with the noisy data. That is the main important parameter of optical neural network. If you observe the human brain, it consists of 10 to 15 billions of neurons, and each neuron is connected with 1,000 connections. See, this is our human brain. The same human brain, if we consider its weight, it is approximately 1.4 to 1.2 to 1.4 kg. That is approximately the 2 point. Actually, it is coming as the 1.2 kgs of means of our body weight. It is coming as 2% of our body weight. That is 1.2 kgs. Now, here I have mentioned a biological neuron and an artificial neuron. If you observe the biological neuron, here we have the axon terminal that is coming from the other neuron, and this is our biological neuron. It is having a soma, the center. It is connected with all the dendrites. Dendrites are like hands, and we got the axon layer like leg, and from there it is transmitting to the other neuron. Here, the body or the soma, it is having a nucleus. Whatever the information it is receiving through the hands, like dendrites, it will process inside the body, and that will transmit to the next neuron through the legs. Legs are like axon layer. This is the biological neuron. It receives the information and transmits to the another neuron. Here, how it receives the information is that it is by electrochemical signals, the electrochemical reactions. Because of that, there is a synaptic joint is there. Here, the gap is there. Like there is certain amount of voltage generated by the dendrite of previous neuron that will be received by the next neuron through its dendrites. Now, the information is received by the neuron that is transmitting to the other neuron to the axon terminals. These are all the axon terminals, and this one is the dendrite. Through that, the exchange process is happening for the information. The same concept has kept as an artificial way that P is input, it is received by a central that is called as a nucleus, that is as a function, and through that function, the output is going as a output value as A. If you observe this one, whatever the input it is receiving, that is the weighted sum of the inputs with the bias. Means the input is not transferred directly to the nucleus, there is certain weights, means there is certain loss of the input or the signal. Now that is multiplied with the weight and added to the bias. Not only it is receiving the input, it is also added its own value, that is called as bias. It got bias. And the entire thing is summed. The summed value is n. The n value is activated with the function, the activation function here, and through that I am getting the output value A. This, the biological neuron, the artificial neuron, we can write it as a function. A is equal to activation function of weighted inputs plus bias. Most of people, we don't know that what is artificial neural network. That is why we can observe it as a black box. It is not a black box. It is like a mathematical expression. It is the activated sum of the weighted inputs and bias. If we connect all these neurons together, that is called as neural network, and artificially this neural network has formed. That is why we are calling it as artificial neural network. If you observe here in the artificial neural network, there are different layers like input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. The information is passing from the input layer to the output layer to the hidden layers. These are all the different neurons. They are connected with each other with the network. That is why it is called as artificial neural network. Now, there are different types of artificial neural networks, broadly classified based on the topology of network topology as 3 types. One is feed-forward neural network, the second one is recurrent neural network, and third one is self-organizing network. The feed-forward neural network, mostly we can see in our research publications as multi-layer perceptron or multi-layer neural network or radial basis function neural network. These are all the feed-forward neural network. The recurrent neural networks are Hellman filter and Oak-Field networks are recurrent neural networks. Self-organizing networks are coherent networks. I have given what are the different types. See, feed-forward means the information is passed in the forward direction. Like first input layer going to the second hidden layer and going to the third, the output layer. Like this, the information is passed from the input to the output from different layers. This is our feed-forward. If you observe the recurrent neural network, it is going, the information is passing in a feed-forward direction, but there is a recurring action. Means recurring means even the input is passed back as a feedback signal in electrical systems. Like that, we can able to get this type of neural network as recurring neural network. Elman filters and Hopfield neural techniques are there in electrical technology. The same thing, the electrical circuits, the same thing is implemented as a feed forward, and we are giving as a recurrent, as a feedback signal. And this is entirely different from the feed forward and back propagation neural network. I will explain what is that one in the next slide. And the third one is self-organizing map. Here in the self-organizing map, we have the input layer, and that is given to the hidden layer. In the hidden layer, we can organize. There is a set of data. The entire data we can cluster, and we can give it one particular class for that particular cluster. For that, we can use the self-organizing map neural network, that is coherent neural networks. These are the three types of neural networks. As I discussed there is an activation function. There are various activation functions like hard limit, symmetrical hard limit, linear, logarithmic, sigmoid, hyperbolic tan sigmoid, and positive linear, and competitive. These are all the different activation functions. The competitive function we can use for the self-organizing map, that is equal to 1 means the neuron with maximum n values, equal to 0 means all other than neurons. I just represented all the functions. These are all the different activation functions, and mostly we are using the sigmoidal and tan sigmoidal functions in back propagation neural network, and competitive neural network, competitive activation function we are using the self-organizing maps. In the output layer, anyway, the linear type of activation function we can use. Now I am coming one by one. The back propagation neural network. This is going under supervised learning. The supervised learning means we have to give the input data and we have to give the output data. Means based on the output, it can map the inputs into the domain. That is why it is called as supervised learning. Means it is supervising what is the input and accordingly how much output is coming. This is the supervised learning, and this is back propagation neural network. Here the term has come as back propagation neural network. Even though it is a feed forward neural network, why the term has come as back propagation means here the error is back propagated. Remember, in the recurrent neural network, the output is back propagated of one layer to the other layer, that is coming as input. But here the back propagation is the input. The error is back propagated in feed forward multi-layer neural networks. The another one is counter propagation neural network. In the counter propagation neural network, we are combining two things. One is our coherent layer, the other one is our Rosenberg layer. The coherent layer, it will just organize the clusters, and from there it can able to give as a representative for each cluster. That is our coherent layer. As we have seen earlier, the coherent neural network we can use for the clustering. Once the clusters are ready, then we can use our Grossberg layer. Thereby we can map the input and output. It is like supervised learning in the Grossberg layer and unsupervised learning in the coherent layer. It's both the things we are coupling. What is the advantage of this counter propagation neural network is that in the back propagation neural network, it takes a lot of time, because once we give the data, the entire data will be processed. That is why it is taking more time. In this counter propagation neural network, the advantage is that the entire data can be clustered, means we can make as a representatives of each cluster, and only those cluster values we can take to train the neural network, and with that we can minimize our time of training. The third one is the radial basis function neural network. It is like more probability or statistic applications of neural network, the radial basis function neural network. Here also we got three layers: input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. The radial basis function neural network was invented in 1988 by Crewmed and Lowy. If you observe here in the hidden layer, we have the activation functions, as we can take the activation functions as Gaussian distribution function. The Gaussian distribution function, if you observe, it is the exponential of Euclidean distance of a data point with its centroid divided by the standard deviation square or variance. If you observe here, I have taken a sine curve. Actually, this is the curve. There is a curve. This curve I can represent with the three clusters. One is blue color, red color, and green color. Each cluster is having one Gaussian function. Now the weighted sum of the Gaussian functions is my output. Means pi j, there is a blue color one pi j, the red color data another pi j, the green color data the third pi j. All these three functions are weighted, that is why the scale is different. Once they are weighted, I can sum and that I can get as a output. This red color line is the predicted output and the dotted line is the actual output. Even though there is not a match, but here we need to consider how many hidden layer neurons we need to select. Based on the hidden layer neurons, means based on the clusters, I can able to increase the accuracy, and based on the number of data, I can able to increase the accuracy. But if I increase the data, then there is again problem. The time is it takes more time. That's why we need to manage the number of neurons in the hidden layer and number of data points for training the neural network. The same thing I have given as a mathematical expression. That is the radial basis distance of the input value to its centroid multiplied by the weight and added to the bias, and that will be activated through the our activation function, that is radial basis function. Here I have considered it as the Gaussian distribution function. Now there are other types of functions are also there for radial basis function neural networks, as well as even we can use these functions for the support vector machines also. That is another category of artificial neural networks. Those functions are called as kernel functions. The kernel functions like the Gaussian radial basis function, multi-quadratic functions are there, inverse multi-quadratic functions are there. Simply there are different types of functions are there. I have just kept it all the functions over here. Now, as I told, for increasing the accuracy, there are two parameters to be kept in mind. One is what is the sample size, means how much is the data, and second one is how many number of hidden layer neurons are there. Here I am giving the clear understanding of artificial neural network. Let us consider there is a function y equal to mx plus c. Y is the output, x is the input, m is the slope, and c is the intercept. The same concept is there in our neural network also. Y equal to mx plus c, it is a linear equation of x giving the output as y. It is a linear equation. That one we can able to model using our statistical regression equation. Statistical regression equation means we need two data points x1, y1, x2, y2, and from that I can able to predict my m value, slope, and c value, intercept, and thereby I can get as a function y equal to mx plus c. M value I know, c value I know. For a given value of x, I can able to predict y. That is the regression. The same thing is there in artificial neural network also. Y equal to mx. Here m is the weight of the network connection. M is the weight. Rather than x, I am giving with certain function, that is sigmoidal function x. Sigmoidal function of the inputs as x plus c. C is my bias value. Here the bias value also I am adding. Otherwise y equal to mx plus c, I am sending to the another activation function. Either it may be sigmoidal or tan sigmoidal. It is exactly similar to the regression, but here we are using the another technique, the iterative process technique, for predicting the weights and biases. Whereas in our statistical regression, we are using least sum of square method for predicting the m and c. The same least sum of square method is used in radial basis function neural network, but in multi-layer feed-forward neural network with back propagation networks, we are using the iterative method for updating the weights. That is the gradient descendant method we can use for updating the weights, or Levenberg-Marguerite method also we can use for updating the weights. Here I have kept the comparison. M is equal to 1 means 1 hidden layer neuron. M equal to 3 hidden layer neurons. M equal to 10 hidden layer neurons. Here I am keep on varying the hidden layer neurons. But my samples are, the number of samples are here 10 only. All the blue color crosses are 10 samples I have taken. The red color line is the predicted line. If my number of neurons are 1 and the training samples are 10, I am getting as a function like this. These samples are for my sine curve, but I have added certain error to get as experimental values with a deviation. See, now this is the sine curve. When I go with my m equal to 3 hidden layer neurons, means one hidden layer with the 3 hidden neurons, remember? Now I am getting exactly like as a sine curve. But if I increase the number of neurons to 10, I am getting with a zigzag fashion. It is called as the overfitting, and because of the overfitting, I am not getting exactly as a function. The same concept is there in the statistical regression also. While making a regression model, we need to just check whether I have to go with a linear model or polynomial model, under again polynomial model, my quadratic model, or my fourth order model or fifth order model, like that. There the order is there. Here the number of neurons are there. If I go with a higher order, overfitting problem will come in the regression. The same thing, if I go with a higher number of neurons, I am getting a overfitting problem. That means there should be a certain rule to select the number of neurons in the hidden layer. Now come back to the second thing. Now, rather than the samples n is equal to 10, I am going with n equal to 15. If I go with n equal to 15, means 15 number of samples, if I observe for the same m equal to 10, then approximately it is coming as a sine curve. Even then there is a problem. If I increase the number of samples n equal to 100, see exactly I am fitting to the sine curve. That means there is a tug off between my number of hidden layers and number of samples. The same thing in the statistical regression also. The order of the equation and number of samples or number of data points are giving for the regression model fitting. The same concept is there in the neural network also. That means we need to select the number of hidden layer neurons based on our sample size. Based on our sample size. And this one is my CPN neural network, counter propagation neural network. Here I am taking the different clusters. The entire data I can represent as a clusters, and with that I can able to plot the curve. Otherwise I can able to predict the function. And this one is the radial basis function, as I discussed earlier. Here also the clusters are there. These clusters are represented with a Gaussian function, and finally I am fitting a curve. If I increase the number of functions, the Gaussian functions, I can exactly get this also as a sine curve. There are different types of training algorithms. Training algorithms means updating the weights or minimizing the error. Now, while updating the weights means predicting my slope m and intercept c. The same thing is there in the neural network technology as training, and during the training process we are updating the weights. In this process, there are different techniques are there, like error correlation learning, Boltzmann learning, Hebbian learning, and commutative learning. These are all the 4 types of basic learning rules are there. Using these rules, we got the algorithms also, like gradient descendant with momentum, or gradient descendant method is there, adaptive learning rate with resilient back propagation. These are the different learning algorithms are available, and as a MATLAB function also I have given the thing, and the parameters are like learning rate, momentum factor, again learning rate increment, all the parameters are also there. We need to select. Now I have considered some problem as a general problem of application of neural network. Consider that there is, I need to estimate the commodity price. When commodity is there, I need to is the price. Here there are different parameters. Suppose the commodity is the land. For the land, whether per capita crime rate in that particular town is how much, because these are all the factors which will influence the rate of a land or rate of a field, whatever. Like in agriculture, the rate of the cost of a particular land. Now the dependent parameters here are the house valuation. Means here the house as a property, that is why the house valuation I have kept as the dependent parameters. Here I have given as a MATLAB code, like I am giving these input parameter values and the dependent parameter value, and with that we can able to fit a network, and I am using the training method here. And if we plot the results, it is the code. I will show here the results. Here I have considered in the hidden layer 10 neurons, in the input layer the 30 neurons. The 30 neurons are my input parameters, and dependent parameter is 1, that is the value of the property. After training, in the training we can see the number of epochs, 1000 I have kept, but at 16 iterations it has converged, and the performance also it is showing. I have kept the 0 is the error, and the performance is also increasing, and finally I can get the result in terms of performance. Like training is my blue color, green color is validation, and testing is my red color. As a overall, I am getting the dotted line, the best line point I am getting over here. That means at 16 epochs, I am getting the mean square error is less than uh, 1. That I am getting. If we observe that, see the plot as R square, the overall I am getting R square as 0.92. This is the fitting of the particular data. Even with the number of the entire data, if you observe, the error is also keep on changing over here. This is the error histogram. Using these three plots, we can represent the training, and we can able to observe that the neural network can able to predict with an accuracy or with the R square value of 0.92511. And another problem I have considered for the classification. Here the classification is that there are traps. Like our aquaculture, the crab is there. I need to predict its the sex, whether it is a male or female. The input parameters we can frontal lip. Frontal lip is what is the frontal lip length, the real width of the crab, and the total length of the crab, and width of the crab, and depth of the crab means height. I have considered these parameters, and we can able to predict. It is not classification. Whether it is female, female means there are two values, 1 and 0. 1 means the female is yes and male is 0. In this case, 0 and 1. Female is 0 and male is yes. Means no or yes. Like here for with that we can able to classify the data, the same the code I have written, and if you observe these values, we can represent the data in terms of here after training the same thing. This is the performance of the training. Once the training is over, we can represent the data in terms of a confusion matrix for the classification. For regression equation, we can represent the data in terms of a regression curve, like the predicted and actual outputs in terms of the R square. For classification problem, we can represent the data in terms of our confusion matrix. If you observe here, male, female as actual, and male and female as our predicted output. If you observe here, 12 are shown as female and 0 as shown as male. That means 12 females are there, it is showing as exactly as the 12. That is why the accuracy here is 100%. And for this one, total 18 are there, but in the 18 crabs, 1 is shown as female, the 17 are shown as male. That means here the accuracy is 94.4%. The overall accuracy I am getting is 96.7%. That means whatever the neural network model I have fitted, that can able to predict male or female of a crab as 96.7%. Now, this is the data I have kept of application of neural networks in agriculture. If you observe the entire data as Hong et al. Has published in 2010, according to his, the statistics are like this. In food quality and safety, 35.34% of the papers are presented for application of neural network, and crop related 22.7%. And very least it is going for chemical applications and other bioenergy. Chemical applications, it is going as 0.29%, and agricultural biology 1.15%, and agricultural robotics 0.29%. It is the data of 2010, and others including bioenergy, it is going as 2.3% of all the papers are related to application of neural networks are published in this particular area. Now, in terms of the application also, like classification, 45%, and modeling or regression is 43.97%. That means most of the papers are published related to classification and regression, the application of neural networks. Now, as per the domain area I have presented here, it is related to the crop management. The artificial neural networks are used for crop soil weed detection, nitrogen content of the crops, nitrogen status in a cotton, or chlorophyll content of the crop also we can predict. Weed classification also we can do using artificial neural networks. Even to control the weed, means which type of weed herbicide we need to apply or how much quantity we can apply, all those things also we can able to predict using the artificial neural network. Now, related to the irrigation, we can see that the irrigation water balance also we can able to predict using neural network. The evapotranspiration, the coefficient also we can predict using the artificial neural network. Related to the soil analysis, we can predict the soil profile, soil electrical conductivity, soil pH, soil classification, soil tool interaction, soil temperature. These values we can able to predict using the artificial neural networks for precision agriculture. Now, particularly for the precision agriculture, here actually I have kept as the yield monitoring, and this yield monitoring can be given as an input to the other parameters as we discussed earlier. The grain storage also we can predict using artificial neural network. Backpropagation was used by GM and Yan in 2007, and soybean yield monitoring and corn yield monitoring and grain quality also have been predicted using artificial neural network. And related to the chemical application, like the spraying application, we can predict the nozzle wear, means they have predicted the nozzle wear of a nozzle, and pesticide concentration also predicted using the artificial neural network. Here I have taken some case studies, like we can use the artificial neural network for predicting the traction force of a wheel. Here, as we know that there is a drive wheel, we got the motion resistance, and the torque is applied, weight and net traction and cross traction values, and we have the velocity of or forward velocity of the vehicle. For this, the input parameters considered as the soil texture, the tide drive, how much load is coming onto the wheel, and the speed of operation, and the slippage, means how much slip is coming, and inflation pressure of the tire. These are the parameters they have considered. That is Tagavifer and Mardhan in 2014 they have done this work. And here the hidden layer neurons are where they have used backpropagation neural network, and they have predicted the traction in terms of the net traction. How much is the net traction? They have could able to predict. If you observe the data between the predicted and the actual, the measured values, they could able to get 0.97 R square value. The second case study, it is related to the soil and water domain, like precipitation using artificial neural network. There is one area. In that particular area, actually it is the river basin, and they could able to predict how much is the infilling missing daily total precipitation. Means what is the precipitation in that particular domain? They could able to predict using the artificial neural network, using the data of daily extreme temperature series and the total precipitation records also they have used. Now with that they could able to get the different neural network models they have used, and the mean precipitation they could able to predict these values with a standard deviation of 2.8 millimeter. The another problem, it is like related to the food, the storage quality indices using artificial neural networks. They have considered the time and temperature as the two parameters. With that, they could able to predict the storage quality indices like total volatile base nitrogen, salt concentration, salt extractable protein, hypoxanthine that value, and key value sensory assessment. These are related to the food quality assessment parameters. They could able to predict for a particular shrimp. They have taken the shrimp for its storage, and the temperatures they have stored at -20 to -12 degrees centigrade, and number of days they have considered as 112 days. And they have used the radial basis function neural network. It has only one hidden layer. With that, they could able to achieve the mean square value is almost 0 for all the values of our food quality indices. Their prediction error is going almost 0. Now, what we have applied, my student Harshnagar and me, we have worked on the prediction of fuel consumption of a tractor. Here, we have taken the independent parameters as our engine speed and throttle setting also we have considered, and P2O power, the power of the tractor also we have considered. The three independent parameters we have taken, and we have taken in the hidden layer the number of hidden neurons we have kept, and our dependent parameters we could able to predict the torque and fuel consumption. The torque of a engine of a tractor and how much fuel consumption it can able to consume over a period of time, or the average fuel consumption in that operation we could able to predict. Now we have compared different artificial neural networks as we discussed earlier. We have compared backpropagation neural network with gradient descendant algorithm, and again backpropagation neural network with Levenberg-Markovitch algorithm and radial basis function, RBF. It is radial basis function. 3 neural networks we have compared. If we observe, we have taken different tractor models. The models are just kept as a 4. There are 4 tractor models we have taken. Now for the 4 tractor models, the R-square value is coming negative if you use the gradient descent method. The mean square error is also high compared to the Levenberg-Markovitch algorithm. See, if you consider the Levenberg-Markovitch algorithm, we are getting the training data R-square value is coming the maximum 0.78, and for the testing data even it is going under negative value. But whereas the mean square value is varying between 0.07 to 0.78 for the tested data, and for the training data it is coming between 0.18 to 0.84. Why we are getting these negative values is that the data is very less, because whatever the data is available for the different tractors, the data is very less. If we increase the data, we can able to increase our accuracy. For that, what we have done is that we have used the another neural network, that is radial basis function neural network. In the radial basis function neural network, you can observe in the training data, we are getting the R-square value is almost 0.9, means varying from 0.83 to 0.99, and for the test data, it is going as 0.9 to 0.95. The mean square value is also almost 0. That means for the given data set, our radial basis function is more effective compared to the other 2 neural algorithms, neural networks, that is Levenberg-Markovitch algorithm backpropagation neural network and gradient descent algorithm backpropagation neural network. Now this is the data of predicted and actual torque and fuel consumption. We got the mean absolute error as 9.46% for the torque prediction and 3.95% for the fuel consumption prediction using the radial basis function neural network. If you not only this one, we have made it as a generalized. Why we have to go for as an individual tractor? We can combine all the tractors based on their power range, and with that we have developed a generalized artificial neural network also for predicting how much is the fuel consumption. If you observe here, the mean absolute error of 3 methods we have compared. One is ACE fuel consumption equation. Anyway, it is a very old, but as a standard point, we have considered it as in the standards they have mentioned. They have used this method for fuel consumption. We have compared the same thing also, and Harris model. As Harris, he has also invented one model. With this model also we have compared, and this one is our radial basis function neural network. If you observe the mean absolute error value, we are getting for the artificial neural network as 3.95%, followed by our Harris model 8.03% and ACE equation. In the ACE equation, we could not able to consider the throttle setting and engine speed. It only considers the PTO power and soil conditions. But our Harris model, here we have taken the throttle and as well as engine speed. It is coming as 8.03%, and in comparison to our neural network, it is giving only 3.95%. Means after combining the different tractors, the generalized ANN is giving with an error of 11.31%. That means the neural network is having a generalization capability, as we discussed earlier. As we increase the number of samples, or if we compare with the different other tractors also, we could able to predict the fuel consumption accurately using the generalized artificial neural network. But the generalization ability is not there in the Harris model. Even though Harris model can able to predict 8% compared to the neural network as 3.95%, because of the generalization ability, we can go forward to take the artificial neural network for predicting the fuel consumption of a tractor. Now that is related to the tractor, and related to the tillage also we have done with the Professor Rahman. We have worked on this particular problem, that is tractor implement draft prediction using artificial neural network. Means our main aim is that we need to predict how much is the draft. For predicting the draft, we have considered different implements. We have considered the 3 primary tillage implements. One is moldboard plow, the second one is our disc plow, the third one is the cultivator also we considered. Even we have done for the one harrowing, the disc harrow operation also, we could able to predict the artificial neural network. Here we have taken the independent parameters as our width of cut. Then we have taken the depth of cut as another independent parameter. The operating speed also we have taken the independent parameter. The moisture content of the soil or bulk density. In place of bulk density, even we can take the cone index of the soil also as a independent parameters. But we have taken as the bulk density in place of the cone index as the independent parameter. Now we have varied the neurons in the hidden layer. Here we have taken the 9 I have kept in the diagram. Is we have varied the number of hidden layer neurons also from 5 to 30, and based on the whichever is giving the best result, those number of hidden layer neurons we have considered. And our output parameter is draft of the neural network as our output parameter. If you see the network here, the U is the weight between input layer to the hidden layer. And in input layer, there are 5 neurons are there. And in the hidden layer, it is having only a single hidden layer. 9 neurons are there. 5 by 9 is the matrix of the weights. See, 5 by 9. 45 lines are there, the connections are there. 5 by 9, it is a matrix, the weights of all the first hidden layer neurons. Now here, the W is the weights of between hidden and output layer. Here we got 9 hidden neurons and my output layer neurons are only 1. That means 9 by 1 is coming as my weights of the hidden to output layer neurons. And TH is the hidden layer bias value. Means each neuron is taking its own bias. Bias means it got confused or it is having with a certain error. That bias it is also taking, and thereby 9 by 1, 9 neurons, and each neuron is having one bias. Total 9 bias values are there for the hidden layer. That one I have considered it as the TH. This one is my output neuron. The output neuron only one neuron. It has only one bias. That is, it is 1 by 1. If you observe here, 5 neurons in the input layer by 9 neurons in the hidden layer. That one multiplied by 9 neurons in the hidden layer and 1 neuron in the output layer. As a matrix form, we can consider 5 by 9 multiplied by 9 by 1. I am getting as 1 by 1. That means 5 inputs are mapped to a 1 output. This mapping is as a function. This is the activation function and weighted activation function. Weighted inputs and bias summation are sent to the activation function, and that is coming as a output. This is the network topology of back propagation neural network. Here the error is back propagated. That is why we have used this artificial neural network, the back propagation artificial neural network. Here I have kept the methodology for understanding how the neural network can be modeled as a program. We can start the program. We can read the experimental data, input matrix and output matrix. The experimental data means the entire data that is divided into input and output. Input is X matrix and output is my Y matrix. Then find out the number of neurons in the input layer, number of neurons in the output layer and number of neurons in the hidden layer. It will depends on the data size. If suppose the data is also as a matrix. If the data size is 9 by 1000, that means 9 parameters are there of 1000 number. These 9 parameters, again there are some inputs are there and output is there. Inputs are 8 inputs are there and 1 output is there. That is why the total number of parameters are 9. 8 are independent parameters and 1 is dependent parameter. From this dependent data, I can get what is the number of neurons in the input layer, that is independent parameters 8, and number of neurons in the output layer, that is number of dependent parameters, that is 1, and hidden layer neurons n I can vary. In the back propagation neural network, there are 3 parameters. One is the number of cycles, means how many cycles or iterations I need to train the neural network, and L is the learning rate, and NH is the number of hidden layer neurons. These parameters I need to select as independent as processing parameters. Now once I take the parameters, I can pre-process the data. Pre-process the data means in the independent parameters, one is bulk density, it is in thousands. The another one is my depth of ploughing, that is in if I consider centimeters, that is going as a 10 centimeter or at maximum like 20 centimeter. That is there is a variation in the data. The data can be decoded or encoded in the form of -1 to +1 for the inputs and 0 to 1 for the output. Now we can initialize the weights and bias values. U is weight of input to hidden, W is weight of hidden to output, and TH is the bias for the hidden, TO is the bias for the output. We can initialize between 0 to 1 in the neural network, and from that we can be able to predict the hidden layer output, output layer output, number of the error values in the hidden layer and error values in the output layer. Error is important for updating the weights. That is why we have calculated the error, and from there we can predict the y value and calculate mean square error, R square, and percentage error. If we consider, I have kept the condition as my percentage error should be less than tolerance. Tolerance I can consider as 10 to the power of -5 or 6. It is my choice. Now I have kept the tolerance. Now once the tolerance is given, if it is achieved, it can able to predict the values of my draft with different weights and bias values. Otherwise, the updation is happening for the weights. Means we can update the new weights and again count the number of cycles. Even the condition also I can keep. The number of cycles should be less than the selected cycles. Cycles means even I can consider 1000 iterations or 10,000 iterations. Based on that, I can do the process, and finally I can converge the error to 0 and get the weights. Once I get the weights, I know the equation function, and from that I can able to predict the neural network output. Here in the draft prediction, we got the data between predicted and measured draft. This is actually the tested data. It is showing as 0.991 as the R square value. For neural network, we are giving certain data for training, certain data for validation, and certain data for testing. The same thing is also there in the statistical regression. Initially, we will give the data for fitting a model or fitting a regression model. That is called training data. Later on, we are validating whether our model is correct or not. That is called validation. Once it is validated, we can use in the application. That is called as testing. We can test it. Once it is tested, we can continuously use that particular regression model. The same thing is there in the neural network also. There is a training, testing, validation. First training, then after that validation, the last one is testing. Normally, most of the people, they used to take 80% of the data for training and 10% for validation and 10% for testing if the data is very less. If the data value is very high, we can take 60% data for training, 20% data for validation, and 20% data for testing if the data samples are more. These two ways we can consider. And related to the learning rate means how fast the neural network can able to learn. If the learning rate is very small, like 0. We can vary the learning rate between 0 to 1. I am considering if I take the learning rate as 0.01, that means my process is very slow. Process is very slow, but the accuracy is very high. That means if you are given more time for presentation, then I can give more results, right? That is what. The similar way, the neural network also, it takes a lot of time with the slow learning rate, and it can give the more accurate result. If the learning rate is very high, then it will predict very fastly, but the accuracy may not be very good. That is about the learning rate. The another one is the number of samples. The number of samples are very high, means we can get a more accurate result, and number of samples are very less, means we can get less accurate. The third one, number of hidden layer neurons. I am giving the thumb rule is that normally the Rajasekharan and I, they have kept this as a thumb rule, mentioning that we can take the number of hidden layer neurons are 2 times of the input parameters minus 1. Suppose the preceding layer is having 10 neurons. The next layer I can consider 10 into 2, 20 minus 1, 19 neurons I can keep. For example, in the input layer I got 8 neurons. In the hidden layer I can take 8 into 2, 16 minus 1, 15 neurons I can consider blindly. That means the 15 neurons can able to give a good result. It is only a thumb rule. But again, I am giving as an indication that it can vary data to data and process to process. Because in agriculture, most of our problems are complex problems and they are not following a one particular pattern. The pattern is different. Their functionality is entirely different. That is why by fitting different models and by varying the number of hidden layer neurons, learning rate only we can able to say which one is the best one, and that process is called as sensitivity analysis. Once you do this sensitivity analysis, you can finalize the number of neurons in the hidden layer and number of hidden layers and number of iterations, learning rate. All these parameters we can able to finalize. With that, I am coming to a conclusion of the application of neural networks in precision agriculture. Neural network is very powerful tool, all of we know, and it can be applied or it can be solved the scientific research and engineering applications. The aliens have their own limitations. They are also having certain limitations, like if we substitute with statistical regression, pattern recognition, and more time series applications. If we apply the neural networks, anyway, some problems can give us a good result, but some may not. Anyway, the advancement, there is a two categories. Between 1980s to 2012, one category of neural network. From 2012 to till now, 2020, the another category of neural network. Because of the computational power and different algorithms and applications like deep learning, we could able to now say that the neural networks can able to predict any problem. I can say as any problem with approximate error, that I am putting as an underline. With an approximate error, it can able to predict. In the next decade or so, the advanced development of computer vision, computer power we can use for application of artificial neural network in the other domains, particularly in the field of agriculture. Now, these neural networks can be used for detecting the diseases and detecting the weeds, detecting the type of crop, and also the same neural networks are also can be used for application of robotics or navigation of unmanned air vehicles or unmanned ground vehicles like drones and all. We can use this artificial neural network for giving the path prediction onto the field. Even in the food science and engineering, soil and water relationships for crop management and decision support for precision agriculture, these are the different areas we can even apply our artificial neural network and we can get a good result. The artificial neural networks will be continuously applied as a standalone or fusion with other soft computing techniques areas. With that, we can able to get a good result in the precision agriculture in the domain of crop pest management, soil and water resource management, and food quality and storage values and safety, and all these things we can get into the precision agriculture. These are all the some of the references I have used for making this particular session, and with that, I am ending my class. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask me related to this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajendra. You have given us the very good informations and the knowledge regarding the application of artificial neural network in precision agriculture. And whatever the means you have presented, that is the means giving us a very good feed for our brain also, so that we can think over the means various applications of the artificial network. And you have also given a very good information regarding the means various methods of the AI and its applications. And also you have also shown your research work, how we can apply this AI for predicting the fuel consumptions and the draft predictions, and whatever the means models you have given us, that is also giving a very good results. So that is a very valuable things from your research outputs. So we are now thanking you very much for giving us this kind of the information. Now I am proceeding towards the audience and the participants. Those who have any query or the questions regarding these presentations, they can raise their hand in the Zoom software so that we can open their mic. So you can ask the questions to the Dr. Rajendra. So first I would like to invite from the participants Manojit Chaudhary. Manojit Chaudhary is asking some questions. So, Manojit Chaudhary, are you there? You can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can proceed and ask the questions.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is, yes, sir. Sir, my question is, sir, how the means so hidden layer is selected? Means how can I select the hidden layers? Mean the number of hidden layers. First question is that one, and so second question is means how artificial neuron learns. Means like artificial means ANN works as a like human brain. So means the how the artificial neuron learns. And third question is, sir, means I mean, is there any limitation or like disadvantage of ANN using in agriculture? Okay. Yeah. Your first question is that how to select the number of hidden layer neurons. Yeah, not only like you and as there is a problem for selecting the number of hidden layers first. That is why the evaluation has happened in the neural network. The first thing has come as a multi-layer perceptron. Perceptron means it can only just detect and say yes. It is predicting the value. It is not like yes or no, means how much is that value. Suppose whether disease is there or not, yes or no, yes. Once it is yes, how much is the magnitude? That is called as prediction or regression. That is the capability is also has come to the neural network. Now with these two capabilities, the problem is that whether the neural network is whether we can able to reduce the parameters in the neural network. Parameters means how many hidden layers are there or how many hidden layer neurons are there and what is the learning rate. These are all the different parameters for selection as I have told earlier. To reduce the number of the quantity, the thumb rule has come like how many number of hidden layer neurons we can keep as neurons in a hidden layer. But number of hidden layers, the next invention has come as radial basis function neural network. In this radial basis function neural network, there is no need to go for more number of hidden layers. One hidden layer is enough. But there we are taking as a Gaussian function as it is like a semi-theoretical approach. With that we can go with a one hidden layer. But for your question, the number of hidden layers also we can suppose if you are using as a multi-layer feed forward neural network, the number of hidden layers can be selected based on the sensitivity analysis. Based on the sensitivity analysis. And as by my experience, I am giving you not to go more than two hidden layers for most of the agricultural problems. Don't go more than two hidden layers. If you go more number of hidden layers, your complexity is more. And not only that, as I showed, the overfitting problem will be there. Overfitting problem is if we increase the number of the order m value, the overfitting problem will come. That will create a problem. That is why my suggestion is that don't go with not more than two hidden layers and also the different number of your independent parameters. If your independent parameters are less than 5, you go with a single hidden layer. If it is 10 or 20, you can go with two hidden layers, but you can play with the number of hidden layer neurons. I'm telling this one as per my experience, okay? But to reduce the number of hidden layers, you can go with the radial basis function neural network. That is the best one compared to the back propagation neural network. That is about your the first question. And second question is that what is the limitation, right? Limitation of neural networks, yes. The neural network is also having a limitation. That limitation can be overcome by with your experience. The reason is that by training the neural network is what is the best way to train the neural network. It is not like that whatever the data is there, it directly give to the neural network, thinking that it can able to give you a good output, but cannot able to give. It will fail. That means even the data also should be processed. Pre-processed data can be given. That means once the data is palatable to eat for the neural network, then only it can give you a good result. That is the one limitation. Means we need to pre-process the data of neural network. These are the two questions. And what is your third question, Manojit? Sir, means how artificial neurons learn in ANN. Means ANN works as like a human brain. So means this how artificial neurons learn. Yeah, good, Manojit. And just give one example. Like you think I am as a human. Your name is Manojit, and I know that I have seen you multiple times. But sometimes I may forget your name. I can recognize your face. I am searching in my brain what is your name. That means my neurons are just confused, right? If you keep on meeting me multiple times, then I can remember your name, just Manojit, right? it will be permanently stored in my memory. The similar way, the neuron is also will be trained with a number of iterations. As I discussed as a function, it is the weighted inputs plus bias. The weighted sum of inputs and bias is activated through a function, the activation function. Even though we are saying it is training or running or the things, but as a mathematician, it is actually as a function. The function values are weights and bias. These two are the important. These values will be stored in the memory of your computational power or computer. Once we know these values, as I showed earlier, there are 8 inputs multiplied by 9 hidden layer neurons multiplied by 1 output layer, 1 neuron in the output layer. 8 by 9 multiplied by 9 by 1. I am getting 8 to 1. The mapping is happening. Mapping is happening means the 8 independent parameters and plotting in the one-dimensional space with a function. Similarly, the neural network will also learn the data and it can able to predict. Is it all right, Manojit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Manojit. Any question? Thanks.
No, sir. Thanks.
Another question is there from Praveen. So are you there, Praveen? Praveen Prasad?
Hello.
Okay, so you can ask your
Hello.
Yes, Praveen. Please, you can ask.
You can ask.
Hello.
Yes, Praveen, I can hear you.
Sir, that sensor, what is the use? The data, all data is taken by the sensor as a for this neural network
Yeah,
or some other method. From where this data come?
Okay. Suppose, for example, I am predicting the fuel consumption of a tractor. Just consider that. I need to predict the fuel consumption. What are the things are there? The sensors are there. Sensor is there for predicting the fuel consumption. The sensor is fitted in the fuel tank to measure how much is the fuel consumption varying with the time. And one sensor is fitted for the engine. What is the engine speed? The other sensor is fitted. What is the throttle setting? Even the sensors also I can fit. What is the depth of operation? What is the your width of cut? How many number of bottoms are there in an implement? Like that, we can get all the sensor like image processing or your proximity sensors or your the electromagnetic sensors and all those things we can fit and we can collect the data. I mean, why this neural network is so important is that I have the sensors. What is the need to go with this particular neural network? I can directly take the readings, right? The advantage of neural network is that once we get the data will be as a data. As the sensors are giving the inputs and outputs, I can put as a matrix. But I cannot be able to get the relation between the inputs and outputs. There, the neural network is playing a role. For given input, what is the output? It can able to predict. For example, the same thing I told as a fuel consumption. It is taking the engine speed and the throttle setting. These two it is taking and predicting the fuel consumption. I can use the sensors for measuring these values, and I can fit to a neural network model. And later on, for a new value of my speed and throttle setting, it can able to predict the fuel consumption. These sensors I can fit onto an experimental setup. Once I get the model, directly I can keep as a model for my tractor. There is no need to put a sensor for fuel consumption. Only sensors can be given or kept for the engine speed and throttle setting. With that, I can easily able to predict the fuel consumption. Is it all right, Praveen? Praveen?
Okay, Siddhant, you have another question? Siddhant?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can ask.
So my question is that suppose we are using artificial neural networks for image recognition, such as for plant disease detection or soil type. So in these cases, what type of parameters we should keep in mind and which model will be best for this type of purposes?
Okay. See, the image data, if you can able to translate the image into as a number, like the image is coming in terms of pixels. Inside that pixels, your RGB values are there. Otherwise, your HSV values are there. Luminescence, the saturation, all these values are also there. If you can able to extract these values as a data means as a number. Even the image is also as a data, image data. From the image data, if you can get as a value data, then we can use our backpropagation neural network or support vector mission or radial basis function neural network. We can use, but they are not giving us a good result. It's accuracy may not be going more than 60%. For having a good accuracy, the new invention, the new techniques have come in neural networks. Those are like convolution neural networks or deep learning methods. All these things are available. You can use those things for detecting your either soil type or the disease or type of crop and all those things using image data. Is it alright?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So,
In this session, I have not covered convolution neural network. That is again entire topic. I have gone with the title itself as artificial neural network. If I keep as deep learning, then I can touch the convolution neural network. Yeah. Any questions?
question from our faculty member.
Yes, sir.
So,
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, sir. Good morning.
Sir, my question is how fuzzy set theory is incorporated to artificial neural network? In your slide number 27,
Yeah.
there
Application like we can use the
fuzzy, yes.
fuzzy logic for coupling with the neural network for prediction. Yeah. The fuzzy logic, actually it is one logic. Logic means whether it is like as a tree, decision tree. Means we can get the data and we can get one particular class using the fuzzy logic. Even we can use any transformation function in the fuzzy logic and we can transform the data in higher dimension to the lower dimension. Lower dimension is we can reduce the quantity of data. Suppose I got so many features of one person, I could not able to get all these features together. Means data is very vast. To reduce the dimension, either I can go with the principal component analysis as a clustering, or I can use as a fuzzy logic. Thereby, I can able to segregate the data as a group into one particular class, and that data I can able to give to the neural network. Thereby, the neural network can easily able to parrot. Means as I told, the pre-processing of the data. Using fuzzy logic, we can pre-process the data, and that data we can give for the neural network for training. This is one way. Even the fuzzy logic is also implemented later on the neural network. Means the neural network is predicting, the predicted output is given to the fuzzy logic. Now fuzzy logic to be able to check based on its transformation, and thereby it can able to give the class. Means if this is the output, it belongs to this particular class. Like that, the fuzzy logic can also be used. Fuzzy logic is as a tool. Similarly, like genetic algorithm, the other optimization, particle sum, and calling, these are the optimization tools are also there. We can couple or enhance our model neural network. Is it already?
Any other questions from the participants, those who are online? Okay, so now I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Rajendra, for your valuable presentation. Really, it enrich our minds towards the precision agriculture and the applications of ANN for predicting the different models. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for giving this opportunity to
Thank you,
interact with all the team members and the students. Thank you very much.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
I can leave, right?
Sir, please.
Okay, thank you, sir.